Thank you very much for staying on the program. My name is Kemeni Nyamani Amano. Now, former Attorney General Martin Amidu is reiterating his call for the government, represented by the Attorney General, to prosecute all involved in the Alfred Woyome scandal instead of singling out Woyome. He says though he lost his job because he wanted to get all those involved to be equally tried, he will not relent in his efforts to get all accused persons tried. He believes that it is the only way to get real justice.
Success was in lieu of prosecuting Woyome and all his accomplices, which I had been removed from office so that I will be incapable of doing. I will pursue and prove that my advice to the government was based on solid grounds and to get the money for government. As Captain had ordered me on the 13th of January 2012, when we met two-man, tete-a-tete, to go and do. And that is what I've succeeded in doing. You know, and there are letters I have written to tell them too, after I left office, that prosecuting Woyome alone would not help. And I've also told them that, look, you're not using the state attorneys who acted on the case, but using the chief director who has no personal knowledge won't help your case. You know, so I still insist that it is wrong for you to choose only one person among several accomplices, because those others are either your ministers or your favorites, and prosecute him alone. It is not a vendetta. I don't have a vendetta against Woyome. In the press, it is Mr. Delali and Woyome who, prior to this incident, had grudges against each other.
Also says moves by the Attorney General to retrieve the judgment that paid Alfred Woyome is only to convince the public that they are working, and not because the AG is serious about retrieving the money from businessman Alfred Woyome.
The court adjourned for her to serve Waterville. That is 10th. They never served Waterville until Woyome's case broke out. And just yesterday, they then filed a supplementary affidavit. I mean, when I say yesterday, not just yesterday, but when the case broke out, they then filed a supplementary affidavit and then went to issue a notice for hearing on 31st. It is all to convince the public that they are working. If the Woyome had not been jailed, they would not have filed a supplementary affidavit or filed this notice of hearing on 31st. Because since 4th, they didn't do anything. That is why I am doubtful about all this thing about collecting monies and all that. And I'm saying that the position of the woman before she became Attorney General is beclouding all these things. And we shall see how it will go.
Now, a member of the NDC legal team, Abraham Amaliba, has called on Colonel Bevulati and Martin Amidu to cease fire immediately and revert to internal processes to resolve their differences. Meanwhile, a member of the opposition NPP's communication team, Divine Asante, has called on government to quickly resolve the Woyome issue and stop treating it as an internal matter. They were both speaking on the AM show earlier today.
This is not a time for somebody to come out and say this happened and another person daring the other to put out information. For both of them, they have sworn an oath of secrecy, and they must be mindful of that, the kind of information they turn out. Some of this information could even be detrimental to the entire nation because they held very sensitive positions, Attorney General and also security. And so they must be mindful of that, and that not to jeopardize the security of this country by the kind of information they turn out, because you could have enemies. There are people around in terms of what do you do? Terrorists and all over. They could take advantage of the situation and even do mayhem. I think that it is time. If it were just people who were at the lower level, I have no difficulty. But these are people who have occupied very sensitive positions, and I think that it's time for them to cease fire.
David, do this matter look like just a mere party matter? This is a former national security boss held in war of words with a former attorney general, the man who single-handedly exposed the rot in his own government and was sacked. This is the man who went to court and then pushed for his end of service benefits and his entitlement. The issue he raises in his response to Larry Gbevlola Colonel is that there are a lot of NDC men and women, he used the word, who are seeking to line the infrastructure of their stomach. Greek politicians in the NDC seeking to line the infrastructure of their stomach, and for that reason, singing the praise of the government. The issue between the two of them is not just limited to your inter-party or intra-party. It goes beyond that. We are talking about former national security coordinator and then Martin.
There is heightened sense of insecurity in parts of the Volta region following a recent spate of criminal activities in those areas. These incidents include what appears to be random shootings and the escape of suspects from police custody. Our correspondent Ivy Setoji joins us on the line with more. Hello, Ivy.
Hello.
Ivy, what have the residents been telling you?
Well, the residents in the region, especially in the whole municipality and Ketis South municipality, are very worried because they said the police, they think the police are not on top of their work because so far all these crimes that have been recorded in the region, especially these two municipalities, nothing meaningful has come out of it. For example, the death of the Nkwanta South DCE and a brutal murder of a 25-year-old woman and her 5-year-old son. They were stabbed to death at Laklevikopa near Denu in the Ketisat municipality. And 2 people who were murdered 2 months ago, also in Baobi. Nothing has been done about it yet, and this is making residents in the area worried, especially because they are not protected by the police anymore. And so they are asking for a joint police-military to calm down this rate of crime in the Volta region.
But the IGP recently visited the area where the commanders in the various in charge of the various police commands gave assurances to maintain peace, law and order in the area. What do the residents think about this?
Can you repeat that again, please?
I'm asking, didn't the recent visit of the IGP to the area give some assurance to the residents?
If I could hear you clearly, the IGP visit was to see how best they can resolve this issue. But, what do the residents think about that? Didn't it give them any reassurance? Yes, he did. He gave them assurance that things will be well soon. Those alleged criminals who broke jail will be rearrested, and security in Ketis South municipality will be put in place. But residents want it as fast as it can be because they feel this is a promise that they always give, the police always give to them. And up to now, nothing has been done. They always promise, and at the end of the day, they still have robbers, and they still have robbers to attack them in their homes and their shops.
Let's talk about the killing of the 68-year-old woman in Alavanyo. Really, what's the latest on that issue?
Hello?
I'm asking that we talk briefly about the Alavanyo killing. What's the latest on that?
Well, for the Alavanyo one, right now, what the police are saying is they don't want to link it to the conflict between the two towns, that the Alavanyos and the Ntonias, but they are still investigating. But the residents that both Alavanyo and Ntonia are also asking that government come to their aid urgently and quick, because right now they don't know whether it's some other people who are doing that to bring or to make people think that it's still the conflict between the two towns. So they are calling on the government to do something very urgent before things get out of hand.
Indeed, we leave it here for now. Thank you very much, Ivy. Ivy Setoji joined us from the Volta region, where residents feel increasingly unsafe in the area. Now, several projects initiated by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah to boost agricultural production in the Volta region have been left to deteriorate in the Adidome area of the Volta region. Derek Akosam reports from there.
Adidome is part of the Mafi communities in the Central Town constituency in the Volta region of Ghana. I'm here at Mafi Adidome in the Volta region of Ghana, and I'm here on an agricultural expedition. I'm told that the first president of Ghana, Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, had a vision, and his desire was to turn this place into an agricultural hub. And so he put up a piggery, an artificial dam for irrigation purposes, 4 state farms, and then also set up an agricultural farming institute. My first stop was the residence of the late president. From what I see, it was specially built to serve as a fortress. Residents tell me Dr. Nkrumah usually came here to while away time. This building, which can fetch the country some revenue if it is turned into a storage site, is now being used as an office for the area's sanitation officer. A few meters away from this structure is the workers' bungalow that was built for workers on the state farm. It is now being occupied by squatters. The state farms have also been left to rot as no activity seems to be going on there. The land is not serving its purpose any longer, and the buildings have been left unoccupied. The piggery that was built to produce 600 pigs each month is also not in use anymore. Residents tell me they developed an insatiable love for the consumption of pork, but their love for pork died with the collapse of the piggery.
I have nothing to do. It's a government work. So the government make the work collapse. Oh, if it's come, life is good, I will rejoice. So the way come back. So my child or my country people get a work to do, to get their shop money. So if I see, I shut my mouth, my eyes.
You close your eyes?
I close my eyes.
Why do you close your eyes?
That is.
Do you feel like crying?
You say because of what went on, you can't even turn and look at the place because the place is not in use, and he felt very bad off.
The chief of Adidome, Togbi Kwashinya Ajiman IV, believes successive governments haven't helped salvage the situation.
I have been thinking that the good things that Kwame Nkrumah started should be completed, made into a good use. But what I see that the successive governments come in to do their own thing. They come in, they take a new form of their own approach and neglect almost all the good things Kwame Nkrumah started in this area. All have been neglected. Even if you go to Bejeglu, Kwame Nkrumah put a small bungalow over there, a very small, beautiful building made from our own local materials too. But you go there, you see the place has been neglected. I am of the opinion that the place should be developed to make it an attractive place so that people, when some people get tired in the cities, they can come there for a peaceful rest.
Togbi Kwashinya Ajiman IV also tells me the state farm can produce food for residents of the southern sector of Ghana. Derek Akosam for Joy News.
Now, Attorney General Marietta Brewer appealed upon calling for concerted efforts to fight organized crime in West Africa. She was speaking at a ministerial level meeting of the West African Network of Central Authorities and Prosecutors Against Organized Crime. Joy News' Felix Akoyam was there, and he's joined me in the studio with some detail. What more can you tell us about this concerted effort?
Essentially, this meeting involves some ministers of justice in the West African sub-region. Essentially, they are discussing ways, I mean, they are discussing how to effectively fight organized crime in the West African sub-region. Because, I mean, the point has been made that organized crime is not something that can be fought by one country alone. It needs collaborative efforts to be fought.
How does the Attorney General think we could achieve this?
For the Attorney General, she believes that the West African countries must come together, institute a legal framework that will ensure that if someone commits a crime in Ghana, I mean, we can try and prosecute the person, whether it's in another West African country or not. And indeed, she made the point that these criminals at times take advantage of the loopholes and the distance between borders in countries to perpetrate the crimes. And because that unity is non-existent between West African states, they often go away free.
Let's take a listen to her briefly and then we'll come back to the conversation.
The world is really becoming smaller and more interrelated. Advancements in telecommunications and technology in general make it possible for people in every nation to feel more interconnected globally now than at any time in history. Unfortunately, these same advancements have also facilitated international criminal activities. Local criminal groups have expanded beyond their borders to become regional and international crime threats, whereas international organized criminal groups have become more global in their operations. Our borders continue to pose serious challenges in the fight against transnational organized crime. Cross-border criminal activities undermine good governance and security, with consequent negative impacts on the rule of law, human rights, economic activities, and the society in general. The world faces new challenges that are more complex than multilateral and national institutions are capable of managing. ECOWAS member states are not exempt from these challenges. No single nation can successfully combat organized crime alone. International cooperation is ever more necessary in meeting these challenges.
Felix Zakoyam, who was at this meeting, is still here with us. Now, Felix, this is not the first time that the bloc has decided to do something that hasn't worked. How do they hope to make sure that this one really works?
I mean, the point you make, it's very true. We know of instances that ECOWAS has tried to, come up with policies that have failed. But with this one, they are showing some level of seriousness, and the international community is also showing much interest in it. For instance, the US and France are key members in this, and they are saying that they are going to ensure that this thing works.
And what are the timelines to set it in motion?
No timelines have been set yet. The meeting actually is still ongoing and will end in the evening. So we're hoping that they'll put timelines on it, and if they don't, we'll ask them.
This is going to need a lot of funding.
Sure.
What was said at the meeting with regards to funding?
With regard to funding, France is providing some support. The US is also doing the same. And I think Norway is also providing funding for the group.
Oh, Felix, I'm grateful for your time. Now, Computer Science Department of the University of Ghana is suffering serious neglect. We'll talk about that when I come back. Don't go away.
Good afternoon, my name is Baba Tando. Let's talk sports. Now, West African Football Academy, formerly known as Feyenoord Academy, subjected the German Stars to a 2-1 defeat last Saturday in the Week 11 fixture of the First Capital Plus Premier League at Sagakope. Now, a second-minute strike by skipper Martin Entry put the home side Wafa in the lead. The lead was cancelled in the second half by a penalty which was easily converted by Richard Ahin. Now, with about 20 minutes to the end of the game, Bashir Umar scored the winner for Wafa. John Killer is head coach of West African Football Academy.
Change so many things. We just keep the way we are playing, and maybe some small details because of the strongness of the opponent. But no, we are not changing so much. But I think the only change between made was with the goalkeeper after the 2 first matches. It was not dealing so well with the first one, and I think that Felix Annan is also making a big difference, and the team get a lot of confidence. So yeah, then you win this kind of matches, and who knows where we finish.
Sitting at the touchline, I heard 1 or 2 comments about Majid Amisheru. People talking a lot about him, saying that he's a potential Messi. What do you think about that?
Oh, Messi. I think if you compare somebody with Messi, then I think there's only one Messi. But this boy is very talented, and yeah, he has a great future. If he's listening to the instructions of his coach and coaches, then I think he has a great future. And about Umar, the other one, the same. I think they are developing themselves so fast, and especially when you play in the Premier League, the highest level in Ghana. So I think at the end of the season you will hear what they are going to do.
Now, Wafa has been outstanding this season, winning 5 games, losing 3 and drawing 3 out of 11 outings. Now, this performance has landed them 4th on the Premier League table. The sterling feat has been attributed to head coach John Killer. For his efforts, he's been adjudged the first Capital Plus Coach of the Month.
Congratulations. I'm sure that you will be making sure that maybe more of such.
I don't know what to say. I'm a little bit confused. First of all, I'm very happy with the game. I think it was a very big game, and yeah, that somebody is after the game telling me coach of the month, and that is fantastic.
What is it that has been doing the trick for you when people come here, especially when you play at home at Sogakope? What really does the trick for your boy? Right, away from Wafa, head coach of the Giana Stars, former Premier League side, has blamed his players for their defeat at the weekend. Now, Giana lost their 4th game of this season's Premier League in Sogakope to Wafa. Head coach Abdulrahman Ameyal believes loss of concentration on the part of his players led to their defeat.
Yeah, it's rather unfortunate that we lost this very much. We saw that we created all the chances, had all the clearest chances to could have even equalized and then take over the league. But it's unfortunate that my boys wasted all the chances. So I'm highly disappointed about it.
What happened?
It's just a matter of concentration, when they go to the vital areas instead of doing the right thing, they just mess up things like that. That's why we lost this very good.
Do you still hope to keep the chase on Ash Gold and probably overtake them?
Seriously, it's not yet over. We just played 11 games. We're left with about 90 more matches to play. So I believe we're going to make the corrections and then perform against the coaches and come Sunday.
Now, Black Starlights of Ghana succumbed to 3rd place in the just-ended African Youth Championship held in Senegal. The Satellites beat Mali 3-1 to win bronze in yesterday's 3rd-place match played at the Stade Leopold Sedar Senghor in Dakar. Nigeria beat host nation Senegal 1-0 to lift their 7th African Youth Championship title. My colleague Benedict Owusu-Dankwa has been in Senegal throughout the entire tournament and joins me now on phone. Hello, Benedict. Good afternoon to you.
Hi, good afternoon, Baba.
Benedict, comment ça va?
Ça va très bien.
Okay, good. Now tell me, it's all over in Senegal. What have you been picking up from the camp of the Black Satellites after placing 3rd?
Well, as you just said, it's all over. The 19th edition of the tournament, which was held here in Senegal, where Ghana was placing to be with Mali, South Africa, and Zambia, has come to an end. And the Black Satellites, I must tell you, didn't disappoint at all. They came here. Their first aim was actually to make it to the World Cup, which they qualified after playing their first 2 good games. And after that was to, win the trophy after placing 2nd at the last edition of the tournament in Nigeria. But we couldn't reach that one because we lost our game against Nigeria in the semi-final, and we could only play in the 3rd place yesterday, which we did so well to beat Mali, some sort of revenge play after Mali defeated them in Group D by goals. Defeated Mali yesterday by 3 goals to 1. Yeah, your boys taking a breeze and also Clifford Abouadil. So the team got the bronze medal. And I must tell you that your boy who scored 2 goals yesterday was adjudged man of the tournament, the orange man of the tournament. Because in this tournament, you look at the likes of Clifford Abouadil, and almost all the players who presented at this tournament, they all did very well. And speaking to Coach Lastic, I get it right that definitely there are going to be changes going into the World Cup, and also there is a lot more work to be done on the team, because the World Cup is something they've played in before. You remember at the last edition of the tournament, they won points in Turkey, and this time they would want to do something better than what they did in Turkey. So Coach Lacazette told me wrong. They're going to beef up the team, and a lot of things happen.
All right, Benedict, thanks very much, and hoping to see you soon. Now, finally, before I go, qualification to Seychelles 2015 means that a new chapter has been written in the short history of the Ghana Beach Soccer Association. Now, the remarkable fairy tale story of Ghana's fastest emerging sport was further enhanced with the Black Sharks' qualification to Africa's first ever beach soccer tournament, which will further provide an opportunity for the World Cup in Portugal. Now, the 13-2 margin of victory was not a fluke, as Captain Michael Sema helped himself to 3 goals with Alexander Ejay, Francis Quavy and Matthew Lamptey also contributing to the rampage. So the story is simple. The Black Sharks of Ghana have qualified to the maiden edition of the CAF Beach Soccer Tournament coming up in Seychelles, and if they do well, they get to go to the World Cup in Portugal. And on that note, I wrap up on sports. My name is Baba Tando. Have a good afternoon.
Now, the Accra Metropolitan Assembly is continuing with its demolition of one of the major slums in Accra. The demolition operation, which is in its 3rd day today, is targeting mainly scrap dealers who are occupying a vast tract of land close to the International Central Gospel Church at Abusukai. Kayla Anderson was there earlier. She's here with me in the studio with some updates on the exercise. Good afternoon, Michaela.
Good afternoon, Kimberly.
What can you report from there today?
I can say that there's been a lot of distraction at the Agbobolushi area, exactly behind the ICGC Christ Temple, which is a bigger or a part of a bigger slum, that's Agbobolushi. And I can tell you that hundreds of structures have been destroyed. A team of police officials and then the AMA task force are still continuing with their demolition. Squatters, victims, traders are appalled. They stand aloof looking whilst their structures are destroyed, and they seem very, very helpless, because according to the officials, they were given 3 years prior notice, but they also complained that they were not given enough notice. So as we speak, they are there. They are not being allowed to rebuild their structures. They are there, but they are questioning the rationale behind the destruction of their properties.
And because of that, they've been telling you some interesting issues.
Very interesting issues. They are actually threatening to vote out this government if they are not relocated, because they think the government should have provided a place for them to go there before at least carrying out the exercise. I actually spoke to some of them. They gave me very interesting sound bites, and they are not happy. They are appalled by the whole event. And the police tell me they are going to be there. Actually, it's a sight to behold. You see armored cars. I spoke to one police official who told me that they have 7 divisions and they have 30 police personnel from each division. So if you should multiply, you could just imagine the amount of people or the number of police officials on the ground.
Their structures have been pulled down. What are they still doing there?
They are trying to salvage some of their words. So you see some of them, the scrap dealers, those dealing in rubber business, they are trying to salvage some of their products or their materials which have been destroyed. Those left, they are trying to pick up the pieces and then transport them to where they could get a place to stay.
But they also have some expectations of government. What are those that they told you?
Basically, they are saying government, President Mahama, to be precise, should intervene and ensure that they are given a place to stay, because according to them, most of them are breadwinners of their families, and this is what they depend on to take care of their families. So they don't know what government expects of them. Now that they don't have anything to do, they just go there, stay there, watch as their structures are destroyed. So they think government should have done better, and so they are blaming government for this whole process. They are not happy.
So they want to be relocated?
They want to be relocated.
And in the absence of that, they have threatened the president?
They are saying, I actually got somebody who raised his thumb and said they are going to make sure they vote this government out. So government has to sit up.
Thank you very much, Michaela. We'll leave it here for now. Michaela Anderson was at Agbobolushi earlier, where a mass demolition exercise is ongoing there. Now, Computer Science Department of the University of Ghana suffers serious neglect. And, well, in subsequent broadcasts, we'll tell you the deplorable conditions in which students of that department study. The computer is undoubtedly the most important tool in the 21st century. No industry functions today without the computer, making the computer and ICT indispensable academic disciplines. But it appears the University of Ghana is yet to realize this and give the discipline the needed attention. Though the Computer Science Department has existed since 1976, the department doesn't have its own building and has no equipment to teach the practical aspect of the course. Well, so like I was saying, in subsequent broadcasts, we'll bring you an investigative piece by Manasseh Atsuri. I want to stay on for that. Our top stories here on News Today. Accra Metropolitan Assembly continues demolition of one of its major slums close to the International Central Gospel Church. Several projects initiated by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah to boost agriculture at Adidome area of the Volta region left to rot. Visit myjoyonline.com for more news. My name is Emmanuel.atani Emmanuel. Thanks for your company here.